I done chopped the front of my truck off. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 13. What I'm gonna be doing in this video is getting the engine mounted up, and then once it's all good to go, I'm gonna remove this transmission since it's just a placeholder to get my dimensions correct. I'm gonna remove that trans and then bolt up the CD009. That way I know I have a nice and stout transmission to hold power that I'm gonna be running through it. And then start doing the rack and pinion, but unfortunately I haven't received my parts yet from Jason to do that. I don't want to take a shot in the dark here and guess on measurements. I want to at least have my suspension temp installed where I can get the accurate measurements that I need. So that's kind of a waiting game at the moment, but the second I have those parts, I'm gonna go ahead and install them. That way I can get this rack and pinion in, because I'm really excited about that. I did get a new trailer. Pretty cool little unit. It was like under $1,000 at Home Depot. It's a 5x8. And what's neat about it is this little rear gate back here actually folds down into a ramp, and it's removable, which is what I really liked about it. Same with this side rails. You can put them up, fold them down, lock them in place there, or you can remove them. And it's easily wide enough for this cab when I want to transport it. So if you're wondering why this cab is on here, because on Wednesday it goes to paint. Other than that, that's getting shipped out. Give me some room in here, which will be nice. I can take this out to my land and just put it next to some of the other stuff that I'm not using right now to get it out of here. In case you're wondering why I chopped the front off, it's because once I finish my cage, I'm gonna have a pass-through bar that comes in here for the tubular front, and it's gonna mount somewhere in this vicinity. So it's gonna be connected to the cage. It's gonna go through, connect right here. It's gonna be solid mounted to the frame. So I'm actually mounting this cab as solid as possible to this frame. And then out the back, from the top of the roll cage, I'm gonna have the bed cage coming out, and it's gonna weld in either on the frame somewhere or on one of the support bars. But yeah. Alrighty, so I'm actually heading over to Texas Auto Precision to meet up with Anthony Casares. He's gonna be painting the doors and the cab. So off we go. Cool deal. So the cab's dropped off at the paint place. I went and grabbed a larger storage unit so I could store my trailer as well as all the stuff I wasn't using on this project for the time being. So now I have more room for the parts over here to kind of situate everything and organize. That's actually episode 14 right there. I'll be taking the diff out, welding it, cleaning up the axle, and getting all the rear brake stuff finished. I moved the chassis to the center of the garage. I felt like it'd just give me a lot better workspace in here. So, and as you probably already know from my previous video of installing the 009 trans to the SR, it's ready to rock and roll. So I have a general idea of where it's gonna sit in here. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna make the mounts for the engine and transmission. Sometimes simple really is better. I went ahead and added this little gusset to my transmission mount, waiting for it to cool off. And I'm just gonna clean it up and then powder coat it. And there she is, fresh out of the oven. Looks pretty good for a little homemade bracket. Cool deal. Let's go get this thing installed. Man, I love it when a plan comes together. So right now I'm just lining up the transmission. The mount itself is actually bolted down, but the trans is loosely mounted right now. Once I get that perfectly centered, I'll lock it down, and that'll be good for the rest of the measurements so I can start working on the engine mounts. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right, dudes. So my buddy Chris just went home. I'm about to turn in for the night, but we did manage to get this driver's side engine mount bracket up and going. So basically I'm gonna make a little gusset reinforcement plate or whatever you wanna call this for this tomorrow, and on the back side, and then weld it all up. And I just used the factory mount and I kind of built this little shoe that came off of here. So I'm gonna gusset that in the front and the back as well, so it gives it some more structural rigidity. Other than that, I think it's an elegant solution though, because check it out, my rack and pinion has plenty of space. You can see from this angle, look at that, it has plenty of space to get through there, and I can put my U-joints on there properly and get the adapter linked up here and snake around the turbo and exhaust system. And then it clears the turbo really well. And transmission's bolted up perfectly. I'm very pleased. So tomorrow, I'm gonna knock out this passenger side. It's after 10 o'clock. I live in an apartment, in case you guys don't know, and I get to do a lot of things here. But after about 7, 8 o'clock, I don't really wanna be grinding, just because I don't wanna be a jerk, you know? I don't wanna be that neighbor that's a nuisance. I get to do a lot of stuff here, so I don't wanna ruin that. And there's a lot of car people that live in here just because of the size of the garages. So I don't want to ruin that for them either. I'd rather just play nice and stop working at a certain time. And since I can't move forward without cutting these pieces, I'm just gonna call it quits for tonight and just relax. Maybe watch some Netflix, we'll see. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna start recording some more stuff tomorrow. But yeah, let's go ahead and get that done and then get the passenger side done. We'll wrap up episode 13 and then I can move on to episode 14, which is the diff. So let's get to it. All right, guys, I'm starting to work on the passenger side engine mount. What I did was I took the factory SR20 bracket, cut these little pie slices out of it. That way I can make this piece perfectly perpendicular to this piece right here. The angles are off, like this piece is sitting too far this way. So I cut these pieces out so I can bend this up, match it, and then I'm gonna weld on 1/8" plate right here to where it sticks out just past where the bracket is. Drill a hole in it, reinforce the bottom of it, and then boom, this little guy will slide in between the two and I'll be able to bolt it through, and there you go, you have a mount. So this stuff's real easy. I know people have been asking me to make mounts for them and stuff, but honestly, if you were gonna buy my mounts anyways, you're gonna have to cut and weld stuff. You're already halfway there, so you might as well just do this stuff yourself. It's so simple. And likewise on that side, pretty simple. So I'm gonna make those plates right now as well, get all that welded in, and I'll be done. Heck yeah, man. I nailed it on the first try. Check it out. Boom. Gives me a little less than 1/8 inch, which is okay because I'm just gonna jack this side up just a hair. So it's sitting just a tad lower than I like. So that actually fits perfectly. So when I put the 1/8" plate underneath here and lift it up just a little bit, the angles are gonna match and we are gonna have ourselves a mount, guys. Cool deal. Let's get to it. I am definitely buying a plasma cutter the first opportunity I get. I do not like using the angle grinder to cut out pieces. It's kind of sketchy and it's just super messy. But anyway, this is the passenger engine mount piece that I'm gonna be welding down here. I just had to clean it up, put some weld through primer on the back, as well as mask this off and put weld through primer, because once this is welded on there, I won't be able to access the back anymore and I don't want it to rust out. So I'm gonna tack this on, get it bolted up, show you what it looks like. Dudes, I am legitimately happy with how this whole thing has turned out so far. This bracket is all tacked in, ready to go, and then I managed to finish welding up this bracket right here on both sides. And then over here for this mount, I just need to shave this down a little bit to get better fitment so it can tuck up in there better. I'll tack that in place. Same thing for the back side, so I can get that plate, this little guy on the back side of there, so I can make it really strong. Then once it's all tacked up, I'll pull the engine out, set it over here, finish welding everything up. Same on this side, then I'll epoxy it, and then the brackets that are on the engine. So this guy right here and this guy right here will get powder coated. And then I'll toss it all back together, install it, and then I'll show you the final product in the very beginning of episode 14. I don't want to make this episode like 18 minutes long, so you guys have already seen me powder coat stuff, and you already seen me weld stuff, so it's nothing new. You got the general idea of how everything's looking. Here's the trans mount, by the way, looking super good. So there's the polyurethane mount that's bolted to the bottom, and then there's the steel bracket that I powder coated. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna call that for this episode. I think everything turned out pretty darn good. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.